Hey guys, Chris here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the 1JZ MK3 Supra build. In this video, our theme is, it's the little things. And it is little things that we need to do to get this thing done. Sometimes with some of these things, they just kind of seem daunting to me, so I made a list to be able to check off some of these things and keep the build moving. So here is our parts needed on the left, and I don't think there's very much more parts we need in order to complete the build, but if there is anything I find, I'll go ahead and add it onto here. And on the right is our to-do list. The stuff that's on here right now, I'm gonna try to tackle most of it in this video, but not everything. And as you can see, the first thing that we've already completed is the lower radiator hose. Pretty much all I did with that is I had to trim the back side, the side that connects to the block, by about 1/2 inch, and the front side that connects to the radiator about 3/4 inch to 1 inch. It was not clearing the power steering boot as well as the power steering dampener. I just cut it and it fits perfectly now. Next thing I plan to work on is the intake. So here we have some new couplers that I picked up. I also picked up this resistor kit, and this has the resistor values that I need in order to adapt the 1JZ tach signal to the MK3 Supra. I also picked up this Metro wiring harness. Now this is made for the radio, of course, but this person from the Supra forums, he actually found out that this is the connector that matches the taillight warning computer in the back of the Supra. Next up, this is the oil pressure sender from the 7M. The JZX100 uses a different system where their sensor just tells the dash on the chaser whether your oil pressure is low. The Supra actually has a variable, pressure, so you can actually see what the pressure is. So I need to move this over from the 7M to the 1JZ. Next thing is this toggle switch, which I'm gonna use this in order to trigger on my smaller fan. All right, so let's go ahead and start on this intake. If you recall, I had a short coupler here and I have an angled pipe that went this way, but it wasn't sharp enough of an angle, so it was hitting this here. So I needed to try to get something that made a sharper angle. So I picked up a 45-degree coupler. It's actually still not tight enough, but if I get a 90-degree, it'll be too tight. So what I did is I actually trimmed off an angled piece of it. So you can see here. And this should work. So let's go ahead and put it on. I might trim it some more, I'm not sure. So you can see where I had to kind of trim it at an angle in order for it to kind of turn a little bit more. In that angle though, it's not touching this mount here. I have this 3-inch intake pipe that I picked up a long time ago that I've been using for my 7M. And with it being 3 inches, the coupler that I purchased is one that goes from 2.75 inch to 3 inch. The coupler on the other side is 3 inch to 3.25. The next piece is this. This is the old intake for the 7M GE. So here's the front piece of that. You can see it has this kind of tube here that like sticks out, and that actually goes in to the bumper. So using this is gonna give me a little bit cooler air. I mean, I know the air flows through the turbo and then out through the intercooler, but I figured just having cool air from the beginning isn't a bad thing. And then the other side of that has the old airflow meter. So I'm gonna take this off. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off the old AFM and then have this run through the same spot, bore this out a little bit in order to fit, and if I need to put some fiberglass or plastic piece around in order to seal it, I'll do that as well. And then I'll have the filter inside the box itself. So you can kind of see that because it's like a rectangular hole and I'm wanting to put this in there, then I'm gonna have to find a way to seal up the outside, so I'll need to make like a little plate. So if I want that to work, I'll either need to clock this down a little bit and angle this, and I'll still have to angle this a little bit as well, but I don't need very much you know, intake pipe, to be honest, probably, I don't know, what is that, like 6 to 8 inches? Yeah, it's about 6 inches worth of intake pipe that I'll need. All right, so I don't have a bench vise, so I kind of have it ghetto rigged here. I have a vice grip holding it to the leg of this chair. Yeah, we'll see.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I don't sense anything.
I'm gonna stop here. It's pretty late and making a lot of noise, but as you can see, pretty straight overall. Just, you can feel it's not like perfect, so this side's a little bit better from my old cut. So I'll need to just clean this up a little bit more later. Like I said, just kind of late, so I don't wanna be making a lot more noise here. And I'm gonna go ahead and do just a test fit now with this. I'm actually gonna have it come in to the center here, right in the center, which is more toward, look at the actual rectangle. I'm gonna have it go here, and it'll be centered inside the box itself. So, all right, it's getting kind of late today, so I didn't want to actually cut this up tonight and make a lot of noise. So I'll actually probably do this either tomorrow or later this week. But I did want to make some more progress tonight. So next thing I'll do is work on the Box Eliminator mod. So let's actually take a look. I already got it out here, but let's take a look at where that comes from. So back here in the trunk area on the driver's side, there's a little access panel, and there's gonna be a blue connector here, and this mounts up here and connects to that blue connector. If your brake light or tail light go out, it sends a signal to your dashboard that lets you know that they're out. It'll illuminate a warning light. This itself fails very frequently in Mark III, so it's not a new issue, definitely not. We're gonna replace this box with a connector that has some jumped wires. You don't have to do that, actually. What you can do is just cut this blue connector here, jump the wires directly from there. But I think the way that I'm gonna do it with the connector is a little bit cleaner, especially if you don't wanna mess with all the wiring. This mod has been around for a long time, so I definitely do not take credit for this mod whatsoever. A couple people make these jumper harnesses, but I want to give credit to G Peggy from Super Forums. He's the one that most recently posted a thread providing the part number for this. Basically, what you're going to connect here are going to be, if you purchase the Metro one, it's going to be the same as this. You're going to connect these two here, the orange with white and the yellow wire. Then these three here, the black wire, the gray wire, and then the gray with black wire. Imagine this is the blue connector that's in the car. You're gonna have the red and blue, which is pin number 1, the red and white, and the green with white. Those are the three you're gonna connect together. And on here, it's gonna be these, the gray and black ones. And then you're gonna connect number 4 and 10, which is the green and red wire, and the green wire, which on this, it's going to correspond to these yellow and orange ones. The rest of these, we can go ahead and remove these from the connector altogether. Okay, so in order to depin this, you probably need to use like a really small flathead screwdriver or a pick set. There's also tools that are made specifically for depinning connectors, but you know, we're going pretty cheap on this mod, so I'm just going to use the smallest screwdriver that I have. If you do ruin the ones that you're pulling out, it's not a big deal since you're not actually going to be using those anyways. And I'm not going to show you guys how to depin the harness. You probably could look that up on a different video. Basically just pull back a little tab that holds the pin, and then the pin will slide out. So with that, basically just twist these wires together, twist these wires together, then plug it in. Now I'm gonna go ahead and solder these together as well, just to make it a solid connection. Alright guys, not gonna lie, it's been quite a while, been kind of procrastinating, but we're gonna get back right into it. And kind of outlined it here, what I want to cut. Not sure if you guys can see that on camera, but I'm gonna do it kind of like that. A little bit offset to this side, cut the round hole there, and then any remaining space here, I'm gonna have to cover that up. Got it fitted up in here, just kind of like test fitting it, and I think it looks pretty good. Looks like it fits pretty good. This is not touching the shock. This is in there, and I think it's pretty good. Once I get this area here sealed up, I think it'll work pretty well. I'm just not 100% sure if it's worth it, because it's kind of a pain. I imagine once I get a filter on there, it's gonna be hard to get it on and off. So that's how it looks. Don't want to mess with it right now, kind of want to move on to the next thing. So there's the intake. All right, next up, I'm gonna go ahead and try this and see whether it works. Put it into position. Now turn signals left. Turn the right one. Step in the brake lights. There you go. Press the brake lights. Is the warning light on?
All the way?
Yeah, start the car up. Let go. Turn signal left. Step in the brake. Let go. Turn the headlights on. 2 position only? Okay, wait for it to settle. Press the brake. Let go. That's weird, it stays on when... Okay, but when the car's running, it's not on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alright guys, I got the connector in and everything's working now. I had to do it a few times because the first time the warning light was still on and it was kind of weird. It was also like flashing when the turn signals were on, so I didn't know what was going on there. I checked the wires, made sure that I had the right wires connected, I made sure there was continuity, but then we turned the car on and had it running, then it was working. So the brake lights, tail lights, turn signals were all working, there was no warning light on the dashboard. So I'm not sure if it's normal for it to be only working that way when the car's running, but for now I think that's going to be good. But let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. Alright guys, next is the oil pressure sender, and here is my 7M oil pressure sender, and here's the 1JZ, and here's an adapter that I thought I needed, but I actually don't think I need it. So I initially thought that the 7M was 1/8 NPT and that the 1JZ VVTi was 1/8 BSPT. But I think they're both BSPT. That's after having gone in and asked the question again on like the forums as well as on like Facebook and stuff, and looking at old threads. I'm pretty sure that they're both BSPT. I'm not sure why I got the mix up before, so I don't really need this adapter. But it is kind of a tight space, so I might need something like this to extend it. I'm not really sure yet. Also wanted to mention the reason I'm using the 7M oil pressure sender instead of the 1JZ one is because this car actually reads oil pressure as a value, whereas the JZX100 just tells you on the dashboard whether there's low oil or not. And obviously my car is not set up for that. My car's gauges are set up to read the actual pressure, so I'm going to use the 7M one. So I'm going to go ahead and try putting that on now, and let's see if it works. Alright guys, I'm over here on the driver's side. I'm going to take you guys underneath, show you guys where I'm at. And not sure if you can see this, but this is the oil filter right here. So this is the oil filter housing. There's a threaded hole here, and this hole is where the oil pressure sensor goes. So I already took off the 1JZ sensor, and up here is the connector. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this connector off and install this one. This one's more of like a spade type of connector, because this one will actually go on to the 7M sensor. So I'm gonna take this off, connect it on there. Here's the sensor. Here's the connector, so it's gonna slide right on here like that, and this is gonna cover it. So that's why I have to use this connector. Let's see if it screws on there. So it is kind of tight up here there's a little pipe that goes to the actual oil filter, and it's kind of in the way, but only slightly. All right, I don't really record everything here, but I did get it wired up here, and I also got it screwed in with the rubber cap on to protect it. It is touching the rubber part of the oil filter housing, like the rubber hose, but not the actual metal pipe. I'm not too happy with it like that, so even though I don't need to use the adapter in order to get it to fit the thread, I might need to get an adapter to either go out farther, like 4 inches or so, or maybe coming at a 90-degree angle, just so it's not touching anything. But just touching the rubber hose on this rubber part very slightly isn't too big of a deal. But yeah, it's on there, and let's just go ahead and move on to the next thing for now. off. Oh yeah. Alright guys, took the car for a drive earlier today, and as you saw, the pipe coming off the intake just popped off. The coupler wasn't tightened down all the way, but I wasn't too far from home, so I just popped it back on. So it wasn't a big deal. At least I got to take the car for a drive and kind of feel it out a little bit more. I did want to possibly end the video here though and just talk about some of the things that I've done off camera as well. Kind of reminded of something that I posted a few days ago on Instagram. Don't you ever feel like you've been working on the car for hours and you just haven't really accomplished anything at all? I know I've done a lot, but it just doesn't feel like a lot. So let's talk about some of the things that I've been doing off camera. So since we were talking about this pipe, that's kind of the first thing I want to mention here is because the pipe runs down here, I can't fit the stock clutch fan that goes on the water pump. It's just too big and it needs this space right here. Even if I pull this as much as possible this way, there's just no way. So this pipe either needs to go through here somewhere, or I need to run an electric fan. So that's kind of what I've been debating over the past few weeks, is just whether to go with an electric fan or whether to reroute the intercooler piping. The only thing that sucks about that is I don't know how to weld. So the only way I would be able to do that is either get someone to weld it for me, or I'd have to just use extra couplers, which, you know, is kind of a band-aid situation. Yeah, I'm just really not sure yet, so that's something I may decide before the next video. There's the two clutch fans. As you can see, they're just pretty big. There's no way that would fit there with this pipe here. And if I was to run the pipe through this hole right here, that's the hole that the intake kind of goes through. So if I had to do that, then I wouldn't be able to use this intake that I've been working on this whole video. To be honest, I've been kind of just iffy about using it because it's kind of a pain to take it off and on and to put a filter in there. So that might be the way to go, is just routing the intercooler through there. The other option is to route it either through where this neck comes out of for the washer, or drill a hole there. But either way, I wouldn't be able to run a washer if I had it run through here. So that's one thing. The other thing that I've kind of been working on a lot off camera is the wiring. You don't really see too much of what I've done. It's all inside the passenger compartment now. But I've been kind of redirecting some of the wires, as well as just organizing them. And some of the ones coming off of here kind of bundled together and used some of the wire protector sheathing that I have. I have it on this one. I also have it on the backup light switch that's going to the transmission, and I have it on the ABS wiring as well. I already ordered some heat shrink, some really large heat shrink that I'm going to use. It's the Raychem DR25 stuff. And once I eliminate some of these wires and have this finalized, then I'm gonna go ahead and tape it up and put the heat shrink over it. Just because all this wiring kind of runs pretty close to, you know, like the exhaust and the turbo and stuff. I have most of the wiring pretty much done. Just want to be real thorough. There might be one or two wires here or there that I might either add or remove. And last thing I kind of need to do before the next video, just off camera, is this oil pan leak. The lower oil pan is leaking slightly, so I need to pull it off and reseal it. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm just kind of pissed that I have to do it in the first place because it's just a really small leak, and I can't believe I even didn't seal it properly in the first place. Alright, as you guys saw, there's still a lot more little things to do to get the car fully done, but the engine runs good, the wiring is good, so I may clean up the car a little bit more, button up a few things, and I may toss the hood on and just kind of drive it even more now just to kind of, you know, break it in, feel it out, make sure there's no other issues. And I may have found an exhaust person, so this may be my chance to drive the car over to them. Progress is being made, even though we have a lot of just small things that still need to be done. I feel like we're making progress, and I'm looking forward to the next video. That's why I wanted to end it here, because I want to keep this build moving on the channel. Thank you guys for your support. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.